I guess I was muted. But hello and welcome back to Spin Cycle Live. I'm your host, Nathan Hale, and this is the first show of 2025. It's going to take me a while to get used to that. If I say 2024 a few times, do not get mad at me. It takes us a while to get used to it. We have something new in the background, some lights on all the Lego models behind me, so you can see them a little more clearly. I love them. I think it turned out great, and hopefully it makes it a little more visible. Okay, I think my mic should be unmuted. It keeps saying that it's muting me and then unmuting me for some reason. But hopefully you all can hear me. Should be good now. Anyways, let's get into our first story of the week. For some reason, if you can't hear me, let me know, but should be all good. Some brief technical difficulties. I mean, we should be getting off to a good start on January 1st, but it's been a few weeks since we've done the show, so we got to get used to some things here. But let's get right into our first story of the week, and that is there was a so-called terrorist attack that happened in New Orleans. So this is from the Gateway Pundit. So terrorist attack leaves 12 dead, dozens injured after individual intentionally drives into crowd. Cops injured in gunfight on Bourbon Street. Now, right off the bat, I woke up and I was like, my little self was sleeping, ready to sleep on New Year's. I stayed up until midnight and that was it. And I wake up and I see that there was terrorist attacks happening on New Year's. I saw other stores where people were getting blown up by fireworks and stuff. And all I can say is that if you're first off, this is just an aside. If you're stupid enough to get yourself blown up by a firework, you really are proving that Americans are just idiots when it comes to stuff like that. But let's get into the story. So, a reported terror attack hit New Orleans this morning with at least 12 people dead and at least 35 injured. So Fox News reported a driver in a white pickup truck intentionally plowed a car into a crowd of New Year's gatherers on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, according to authorities. The driver exited the vehicle and fired a weapon after hitting the crowd. 2 police officers were reportedly injured in the gunfight. Now, the suspect died during the gunfight with police, but it is unclear at this point if it was suicide by a cop or if he took his own life. Now, all I can say is, good thing, people like this don't make it out this day. They don't deserve to rot in jail for the rest of their lives, frankly. Like, this is ridiculous. Complete nutbags, right? So, New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell called the incident a terrorist attack at a news conference, but the FBI special agent disputed her at the press conference and said this was not confirmed. So, is it a terrorist attack? Is it not a terrorist attack? I think we're leaning more towards it is a terrorist attack by the next article I'm going to show you all, but I think it's funny that they're just contradicting each other. And I mean, this was a mass event to incite violence and kill a bunch of people. I don't know how you couldn't say it is a terrorist attack. So the FBI also revealed that improvised explosive devices were found. Fox News report investigators are working to confirm whether the devices are viable. So that's all I got for that one. But the next one gives us a little bit more information on who exactly was the so-called terrorist. So, suspect in Bourbon Street mass fatality had an ISIS flag in truck, according to the FBI. So, I don't know how to pronounce this guy's name, but Shashudim Jabbar, who's 42 from Texas apparently, was killed after a shootout with police once his pickup truck collided with a Lyft vehicle at the intersection of Bourbon and Conti Street. The FBI has confirmed. The FBI is leading the investigation into what the agency said is calling a terrorist attack. So first they said it wasn't a terrorist attack. Now they're saying it is a terrorist attack. They reported a potentially improvised explosive device was also discovered at the scene. A flag of the jihadist Islamic State group was found in the truck along with other firearms. Why is it, to say it so bluntly, that it seems like whenever we have these terror events in the United States, it always has something to do with the Islamic State and them hating Americans, right? And what I would honestly like to know is, I'd like to know who this person is and where exactly did they come from. I mean, I'd like to know this for anyone who commits a crime in the United States to begin with, but especially people who are supporting Islamic groups that are not necessarily active in the United States and really only active in doing damage in the Middle East. I mean, was this guy born in the United States? Was he an immigrant who came here? Did he come through either the northern or southern border into the country? Lots of questions. So around 3:15 a.m., the driver of the truck steered around a police barricade at Canal Street meant to keep vehicles off of Bourbon Street and sped into a crowd. It appears the truck was able to travel 3 blocks before colliding with a lift vehicle near Conti Street. He was hell-bent on creating the carnage and the damage that he did, the police chief said. So I don't have that many words for this. Thoughts and prayers with the individuals who were injured by this event. I think you're a fool if you don't call this a terrorist event. I think it's pretty clear to me that this person was out trying to incite some sort of damage and intentionally kill people. But that's all I have to say about that. Moving on. So speaking of IEDs, the FBI says it seizes the largest cache of homemade explosives in its history at a Virginia home. So right off the heels of another terrorist attack, we have this gentleman who seems like he was out to commit an act of terror as well. So this comes from Washington. The FBI found the largest cache of finished explosive devices in the Bureau's history during the arrest of a Virginia man earlier this month, according to a court document. So they found a stockpile of more than 150 homemade explosive devices that were assessed to be pipe bombs, according to prosecutors. And if you are watching this on video, there's a lovely picture right here of what appears to be possibly the destructive devices called the pipe bombs. So even after losing his own fingers as a result of his homemade explosive material, so this guy, I guess his name is Brad Spafford, okay? So apparently he lost his own fingers as a result of his homemade explosive materials. He made the apparent remarkable decision to keep an extraordinarily dangerous explosive material in the home's freezer next to food items that could be accessed by the entire family. So I guess there are other people living in this house besides this dude. Prosecutors said, arguing that, quote, the man poses an extreme danger to the community and should remain in custody. Frankly, he should. That's some nutso behavior right there. That's some nutbag behavior, okay, if I've ever seen it. Why do criminals always find it necessary to keep their goods in, like, the fridge or, like, in their kitchen? Not that I am a criminal, but if I were to keep explosive devices anywhere near my home, which I wouldn't because I'm not a dummy, I would keep them out in, like, a shed in, like, my way back backyard. So if they exploded, they didn't blow off my fingers. I like my fingers. I think I have nice hands. I like using my fingers for a lot of different things. I'm happy to have them. I wouldn't want to blow them off. But apparently this guy wasn't so careful. So this was the kicker for me. This is why I had to include this. I think this is so crazy. So the neighbor also told authorities that Spafford was using photos of President Biden for target practice at a local shooting range. The neighbor said Spafford believed that, quote, political assassinations should be brought back. And that, quote, missing children in the news had been taken by the federal government to be trained as school shooters. After President-elect Donald Trump was nearly assassinated in July at a Pennsylvania rally, Spafford allegedly told his neighbors that he, quote, he hoped the shooter doesn't miss Kamala, prosecutors said. This is nutbag behavior. This is nutbag behavior. Using pictures of a president for target practice, I'm sure a lot of people do that. If we're being completely honest here. Sure, a lot of people do that. It's crazy to do that. This is the leader of the free world we're talking about. But that was intriguing to me, and then I'm just reading on. Then he says that political assassination should be brought back. I would like to ask this man a genuine question. If he was sitting across from me, I would like to say, what is your message to Americans? It's make assassinations great again. I'm assuming is what's coming out of his mouth, right? He's taking the Donald Trump phrase and turning it into his own thing. And what I want to know is when were political assassinations like a normal thing that happened in America? They weren't a normal thing. We've had several presidents who were, but none of them were like, it wasn't like a regular thing that happened. So this guy's a nutcase. He deserves to be in prison. They go on to say in this article that they're saying that he doesn't pose a danger and he doesn't deserve to be in prison, blah, 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 blah. Or at least from his perspective, he doesn't. This guy's a nutbag. Put him in jail. This is what jail is for, to lock up people like this who are just insane, right? All right. We're just moving right through this show today, guys. Like, I thought we were talking about this stuff way longer, and with 15 minutes in, I only got 2 stories left. All right. So, some lighter news for you all now. This is some good news. Some good news, right? We came off some bad news. We came off of terrorist events and nutbags. Now we're on to, there are 9 states that are cutting income taxes on January 1st. And this CBS News article kind of goes through each of the states and kind of what they're doing to cut income tax. So the article starts off, some Americans could get a break on their state income taxes this year, with 9 states kicking off 2025 with a reduction in their individual income tax rates, according to an analysis from the Tax Foundation, a think tank that focuses on, you guessed it, taxes. The changes are part of a recent push to cut taxes at the state level that started during the pandemic, when many states found themselves flush with tax revenue. The far left-leaning Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy has termed the trend an anti-tax playbook that could eventually cripple public services. First off, I think there is a limit to how low you can effectively get taxes to. There are, some government resources that we do like. I do like when my roads get repaired and when, street lights work and public infrastructure is kept up. But there's a lot of wasteful government spending, even on the state level, let alone the federal level. So I'm fine with reducing income taxes if it means that we give a kick in the butt to government and say, hey, we have to find a way to either cut this spending, cut these departments. This isn't necessary. Let's cut government down to really what we need, which is roads, bridges, infrastructure, some public services, right? So 7 of the states, so there are 9 states that are cutting income tax. 7 of them that are lowering their individual income tax in 2025 have legislatures that are controlled by Republicans, as well as Republican governors. So they have a trifecta kind of going on there. So starting off the list, they did an alphabetical order with Indiana. So Indiana is going to be shaving its income tax to 3% in 2025, which is down from 3.5% in 2024. Not that much of a dip, but a little bit. I mean, at least we're reducing a little bit, right? So they said, so according to a local news outlet, the estimates and reduction result in a tax cut of $33 for a worker earning $65,000 a year. So, not a whole lot, but that's like almost it's like about a tank of gas, right? I mean, I'll take any money I can get. So, I would rather I be spending my money than the government be spending my money. But that's just my prerogative. All right, so Iowa. So Iowa is trimming its individual income tax rate to a flat rate of 3.8%. Fantastic. I am all for a flat tax rate, right? It means that rich people pay a little bit more, right? It's a little bit off. We don't have that progressive tax system. I'm fine with that. We should all be paying the same amount. We're all Americans, right? Regardless of what we earn. Why should I be penalized because I make more money than the next guy, right? So they're going to a flat tax rate of 3.8% on January 1st, and that's coming down from a top tax rate of 5.7% in 2024. So these states already had pretty low tax rates, right? And they're just making them even lower, which is great. Great. So in Louisiana, Louisiana is also going to a flat tax rate of 3% on January 1st. And that is down from a graduated tax with a top rate of 4.25%. So they're going down, your top tax bracket, your top earners are going to get a tax cut of about 1.25%, which is not insignificant, especially if you make a good amount of money, right? So taxpayers in Louisiana who earn between $30,000 and $40,000 a year, the largest number of taxpayers in any bracket in the state, will see their state taxes reduced by 50% to $338 a year. Not bad. That's not that bad. I'd take that. However, the state's sales tax will jump to 5% in 2025 from its prior 4.45%. So I'm all for having a higher sales tax rate and a lower to no income tax rate. That's fine. Because the thing with income tax is it penalizes you for bringing in income and it penalizes you for saving money, right? Because I cannot spend any money, but I'm still getting penalized and taxed out my years because I just saved my money because I'm being fiscally responsible, right? A higher sales tax rate encourages people to save their money and not spend so much. And it also means that they're bringing in more tax revenue from the top 1 to 10%, right? Because if you're a top earner, you don't mind taking the hit on sales tax because you want to buy fancy cars, nice boats, things like that, stuff that costs a lot of money. So spending more money on sales tax just means more money for the state because you as a high income individual probably not going to start denying yourself certain luxuries in the state, right? So I'm all for it. I think it's a great idea. I'm also for if you're going to raise your sales tax, cutting taxes on essential items like, diapers, baby food, just, normal groceries and stuff like that. And really just having that tax rate on more luxury items, things like that. So let's move on. So Mississippi will reduce its individual income tax rate to 4.4%, down from 4.7% from last year. Pretty good. Missouri, great state of Missouri. So they will be trimming their income tax to 4.7 to 4.8, so a 0.1% drop, not all that much. But this should be noted, that's the 5th income tax reduction under Governor Mike Parson, who's announced a tax cut earlier this year, touting the state's economy in that they added 70,000 jobs in 2024, and ranks, quote, first in the nation for job growth. That's fantastic. Proud of Missouri. Love to live in Missouri. Missouri is a great state, right? You want to be in a great Midwestern state, move to Kansas City, move to St. Louis. Great places to live, right? No complaints. Other than the cold weather, could do without the cold weather, but everything else is solid, right? Nebraska. So Nebraska residents will see their income tax rates decline to 5.2%, down from 5.84%. It's fantastic. Good job, Nebraska legislature. Nebraska, by the way, is the only unicameral legislature in the country. They do not have a state senate. Everything just goes to a standard state house assigned by the governor. So good on the Cornhuskers. All right, so New Mexico. So New Mexico and North Carolina, who are the two states we're talking about next, they're both states that have mixed control within their government. So New Mexico is a solid Democrat state, right? Crazy, they're seeing some tax cuts, but they're cutting. A married couple filing jointly would save about $303 a year under the new tax bracket. So they're changing their tax brackets a little bit. So they're going, the state is going to have 6 tax brackets now, which is up from 5 in 2024. So they're going to have a wider range. And the rates will be ranging from 1.5 to 5.9%. And the lowest tax bracket was 1.7% in 2024. So they're dropping about 0.2% for their lowest. And it looks like if you're married in New Mexico, you're going to be saving a little bit of money. All right, North Carolina. So North Carolina also has a Democrat governor, but a Republican legislature. So they will also be cutting their tax rates from 4.75% to 4.5%. So not that much of a dip, but still, I'm saving some money. And that's not the last time there's going to be a reduction. In 2026, they're going to go from 4.5 to 3.99. So overall, they're going to be dropping their tax rates by about 0.75% over the next couple of years. So good on North Carolina. We like fiscal responsibility. We like lower taxes here on this show. And finally, West Virginia. So West Virginia will see income tax rates reduced by about 4% after the state, with a Republican-controlled legislature and Republican governor, booked an annual revenue surplus. So the top tax rate will be reduced from 5.12% to 4.82% in 2024. So that's all I got on taxes. Good on these states for reducing them. I wish that every state in the country was reducing taxes, especially states way out in California, Washington, New York. These states have some of the highest tax rates, highest income tax rates in the country. And it's just killing their residents out there. I mean, there's a reason why so many people are moving to those states. All right. Last story of the day, we got the top winners and losers of 2024 in American politics. Now, this was interesting to me. Just kind of popped on my radar as I was looking for stories today. But let's see who, according to Fox News, who they think the top winners and losers are of 2024. Starting, of course, at number 1, President-elect Donald Trump. So pundits in the media largely wrote Trump off after he left office and argued his political career was over in the wake of the January 6th Capitol riot and House impeachments. The critique intensified after he found himself facing indictments in several different jurisdictions and battling with several prominent Republicans during the GOP primary. However, Trump weathered the political storm while surviving 2 assassination attempts and won back the White House in November in what many described as the greatest political comeback in American political history. I mean, how could you not say it's the greatest American comeback in American political history, in world political history, nonetheless, right? Trump will be sworn in as the 47th president of the United States on January 20th for a term that will be bolstered by Republican control of House and Senate for at least the next 2 years. I mean, by far, Trump, number 1 winner of American politics 2024, right? He won the presidency, right? He's the second president in American history to serve 2 non-consecutive terms, and he won in a landslide. He won more than he did in 2016. He won more than a Republican has had since the early 2000s in over 20 years, right? So we love to see it on the show. All right. So I guess number 1 loser 2024, how could it not be Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? After several months of campaigning, along with a spending blitz of $1 billion, Kamala Harris ultimately failed to make the case to voters that the Biden-Harris administration policies should be continued for 4 years of a Harris presidency. Oh, what a beautiful day it was. What a beautiful day it was. So I just thought this quote was kind of funny. I'll read it off to you from Rob Louie. Quote, historically, vice presidents have little impact on a presidential candidate's fate, Rob Louie said. This was in reference to Kamala Harris nominating Tim Walz to be the vice president. So they have little impact on, how the race actually goes on. But in the case of Tim Walz, it proved to be a disastrous decision that doomed Kamala Harris from the moment she made it. Not only was Walz ill-prepared for the national spotlight and media scrutiny, but Harris passed over several better options. Given how little Americans knew about Harris or her policies, they were right to question her judgment on this big decision. And thank God they did. I'm glad the American people came around. It was a beautiful day. All right. Another winner, Elon Musk. So the Tesla and SpaceX CEO officially threw his support behind Trump shortly after the former president survived being shot during a failed assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania in July. Musk, along with former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, was appointed by Trump to lead the newly formed Department of Government Efficiency, which has already made waves in Washington, D.C., with elected officials on both sides of the aisle supporting the agency's stated goals of slashing government waste. Let's go Doge. All right, another big loser, George Soros. The Soros money machine that has propped up progressive lawmakers and district attorneys across the country suffered significant losses in blue California on election night as voters overwhelmingly rejected progressive issues on crime. California voters overwhelmingly voted in favor of Prop 36 that rolled back previous provisions of Prop 47, which was advertised by Democrats in the state as progressive crime reforms that would make the state safer. When Prop 47 passed in 2014, it downgraded most thefts from felonies to misdemeanors if the amount stolen was under $950. Quote, unless the defendant had prior convictions of murder, rape, certain sexual offenses, or certain gun crimes. So they just basically made shoplifting a misdemeanor if you didn't steal that much, right? And that's why crime has gone on so much in that state, because it's not being prosecuted correctly. So good on the state for rolling back those provisions. Progressives suffered another major loss in Los Angeles, where District Attorney George Gascon, who co-authored Prop 47, what an awful piece of human garbage to write a piece of legislation like that, right? Good. This is great. So listen to this. So co-authored Prop 47 and was backed by Soros, was defeated by former federal prosecutor Nathan Hochman, as crime was seen as a top issue of the election cycle. If I lived in California, I'd be concerned about this stuff. I mean, you can't walk down Los Angeles without seeing homeless people high on heroin along the streets, right? So, in another loss for Soros-backed prosecutors in the Golden State, Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price was recalled less than 2 years after taking office after backlash for her alleged soft-on-crime approach. There are several other examples here, but I digress. Great wins for us, right? All right. Winner, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance. Oh, isn't he a great guy? What a good-looking dude. So the popular narrative among left-wing pundits during the presidential election cycle was that Trump's VP pick, Ohio GOP Senator J.D. Vance, would alienate voters with a personality that deemed to be unlikable. Oh, yes. J.D. Vance's perfect family with his perfect wife and 3 amazing kids, and, his dad attitude and him working himself up from literally being dirt poor to being a senator of the United States, passing law school, going through all these trials and tribulations, writing a book that got turned to a movie, right? He really alienated Americans right there. He knows nothing about how poor Americans are living, how middle-class Americans are, what single-parent households are like, right? He knows nothing about that. He's just one of these rich guys who knows nothing about family, nothing about what American values truly are, right? Of course he's one of those guys, right? So great quote from Rachel Maddow here. Quote, I thought people would be more unnerved by J.D. Vance, said MSNBC host Rachel Maddow. Right? Rachel Maddow, who, by the way, just recently took a salary cut. Yeah, I don't know why you'd be unnerved by J.D. Vance. They took the perspective that J.D. Vance is weird. No, you're weird. He's the one who has the perfect family out here. He's the one who's praising Christian values, who's praising traditional family values, traditional American values, right? But he's the weird one, apparently, right? Just an aside, I saw a great video from J.D. Vance that kind of went viral maybe about a week ago around Christmas time, where he was, I think he was making cookies or something. He might have been making a cake with his kids, and he posted this video on Twitter. And I watched the whole thing. It's about a 5-minute video. You can go and find it on his account. But it's the funniest thing because his kids are just standing there helping him make whatever it was they were making, and they just look the sweetest things. So J.D. Vance, who's 40, will be the third youngest vice president in American history. I love younger people in politics, especially younger people of younger kids in politics, right? Because the impacts that they make in office going forward are going to affect their kids for the rest of their life, right? So hopefully they're thinking more about the future generations like ourselves. All right, last losers of 2024 are Democrat Senate incumbents. So on their way to taking control of the Senate, Republicans successfully unseated several Democrats who had spent decades in the chamber. Starting off with Ohio Senator Sherrod Brown, who had represented Ohio since 2007 before failing in November to his Republican challenger, Bernie Moreno. Oh, gosh. So Trump carried that state by 11 points in Ohio. Good thing. Bye, Sherrod Brown. Don't let door hit you on the way out. All right. Democrat Senator Bob Cassidy, who comes from a prominent family in Pennsylvania politics, had represented the state in the Senate since 2007 and had long been considered one of the toughest incumbents to defeat until he lost to GOP challenger Dave McCormick in November. Good thing for Dave McCormick. He won that election by 0.2%. So it was a tough race, but I'm glad to have him. Hopefully he does some good stuff. We'll keep you updated. Lastly, Montana Senator John Tester, who also joined the Senate in 2007. All three of these guys joined in 2007. They were right on the heels of Obama, man. Met a similar fate in November after losing his seat to former Navy SEAL Tim Shealy. Tester had taken a more moderate stance in recent years, openly breaking with the Biden-Harris administration several issues throughout the year, but it was not enough to persuade voters in Montana when Trump won by almost 20 points. Gosh, what great wins from conservatives in this election cycle. Hopefully we can keep it up. I hope that these wins stay. I hope that they make great impressions on the American people going forward. I hope that we can keep both the House and the Senate in 2026. Keep the red wave moving. Democrats need to be put back in their place. They have swung far too left. I hope that we come back to a nice middle ground when we can start working together again. But until then, I hope conservatives push for their agendas, get some actually good things done that impact the American people's lives and change the perspective of Republicans going forward. But that is all I have to say for you all today. I hope you join me back here on Monday. We'll have some more amazing stories to cover. If you didn't already know, we now have a YouTube channel. YouTube is up. You can go follow the YouTube channel. Same username as everything else at HomoNatian, or you can just look at my name, Nathan Hale. It should come right up. We are live streaming there as well as posting all of the old content to that channel. So keep an eye out for that. Please go and subscribe there. Give a like on the video there. Like and follow the channel on Rumble as well if you're watching on Rumble. And if you're watching on X, make sure you're following me on X. Share the show with friends, Give me some props in the comments section. It's hard work doing this show, but I love you all so much. We find all the great stories for you. But thank you so much for spending the last 40 or so minutes with me. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Hope you have a great new year. Hope you have a great 2025. And I'm going to be posting later today what everyone's New Year's resolutions are going to be. So make sure you go and comment on that post. Tell me what your New Year's resolutions are. I'd love to hear them. But with that, hope you have a great day, and we will see you back here on Monday. But thank you for watching. Peace out.